From Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Hello, this is iRadio News. First, here are the headlines. The United Nations has cautioned against unilateral amendments to South Sudan's revitalized peace agreement, saying any changes outside an inclusive and consensual process could undermine the country's fragile transition. The interim chairperson of the peace monitoring body, Jemek, has called on the UN Security Council to prevail on South Sudanese peace partners to cease all hostilities and embrace a genuine, all-inclusive dialogue. And authorities in Chwebet County of Lakes State are pursuing a suspect accused of killing two brothers following a dispute reportedly linked to a girl. This is stories and more coming to in this news bulletin with me, Wol Mapal, and now the news in detail. The United Nations has cautioned against unilateral amendments to South Sudan's revitalized peace agreement, saying any changes outside an inclusive and consensual process could undermine the country's fragile transition. In speaking to the UN Security Council on Tuesday, Under-Secretary General for Peace Operations Jean-Pierre Lacroix said that proposals to amend the agreement, including plans to defer key tasks such as the constitution-making process until after elections, would affect the agreement's primacy and its standing above national legislation. Lacroix told the Council that the United Nations, African Union and IGAD have made it clear that the revitalized peace agreement remains the only viable framework for its stability and that any revisions must be agreed upon by all signatories. The warning comes amid a deepening political deadlock among the main parties to the agreement, alongside renewed clashes in several parts of the country. He added that the Sudan People's Liberation Movement and Hamin in opposition has said it was unable to take part in discussions on the proposed amendments because of ongoing legal proceedings involving suspended first Vice President Dr. Riek Machar. Lacroix reported that the SPLMA-IO has rejected the initiatives and stated that its participation in dialogue depends on Machar's release. Lacroix said President Salva Kiir recently formed a national broad-based committee to conduct a 45-day consultative process on election-related matters, but the mainstream SPLMA-IO was excluded. He has outlined regional efforts to revive dialogue, including the updated Tumaini process and a proposal by the African Union's high-level Hurdle Committee for South Sudan C5 to hold a leadership retreat in Pretoria. Lacroix reported a surge in violence, particularly in Jonglei State, where clashes between government and opposition forces have displaced more than 280,000 people. He said that reports of aerial bombardments, inflammatory rhetoric, and restrictions on humanitarian access have been recorded and raised serious concerns for communities still scarred by previous cycles of conflict. Lacroix urged the Security Council to send a united message that attacks on civilians, health facilities and humanitarian workers are unacceptable and that safe, sustained access for aid operations must be granted. The interim chairperson of the peace monitoring body, Jemek, has called on the UN Security Council to prevail on South Sudanese peace partners to cease all hostilities and embrace a genuine all-inclusive dialogue. Addressing the Council's 10,103rd meeting on Tuesday, Ambassador Major General Right George Aggrey Owino emphasized that the parties must restore the permanent ceasefire and immediately embark on the full reunification and professionalization of security forces under a single non-partisan command. He called on the Security Council to prevail on the parties to the agreement to cease all hostilities, embrace all-inclusive genuine dialogue, restore and respect the permanent ceasefire, and embark on the full reunification and professionalization of security forces under a single non-partisan command. The ambassador warned that the political and security situation has deteriorated significantly since August 2025, placing the revitalized peace agreement RXS in serious jeopardy. He reported that the permanent ceasefire has been severely violated since March 2025, with ongoing clashes between the South Sudan People's Defense Forces and the SPLA-IO in opposition, showing no signs of stopping. He said, and I quote, "With time fast running out, any further deterioration of the security situation, coupled with failure by the Artigano to urgently address the political stalemate and commence genuine and inclusive dialogue, poses a great risk to the peace agreement." End quote. On the political front, the RJMA chief highlighted the erosion of responsibility sharing arrangements through unilateral removals of opposition representatives at both national and state levels. He specifically pointed to the continued confinement and trial of first Vice President Dr. Riek Machar and other SPLM-AIO officials as a major obstacle to peace. With time running out, the ambassador cautioned that a failure to address the political stalemate and commence dialogue on the conduct of elections poses a great risk to the nation. He concluded by asking the UN Security Council to assist the government in finding a political solution for the first vice president and all political detainees to ensure a peaceful end to the transitional period. Elsewhere, authorities in Chebet County of Lakes State are pursuing a suspect accused of killing two brothers following a dispute reportedly linked to a girl. The acting Minister of Information and Communication in Lakes State, William Koji Kirjok, confirmed that the incident occurred on Tuesday in Chebet County. Koji said the altercation began when a young man went to engage a girl but disagreed with her brothers. During the confrontation, the suspect allegedly shot and killed the two brothers on the spot. He warned that anyone who takes the law into their own hands will be held accountable, stressing that Lakes State remains committed to peace and stability.
Was related to issue over a girl. I don't know. It needs to be investigated well. One of the guy went for engaging a girl, and it seemed he differed with the brothers of the girl. Now in the process, the same guy tended to shoot the two brothers on his and died on his spot. So that's what has happened. Since yesterday up to now, the security forces are still pursuing him. And what I know, he's almost to be arrested, and he will be brought to book for accountability. I could not really mention the location, but it has happened in Chebet County. Those who take law into their hand, the law will continue to hold them accountable. There will no compromise on such. Like I said, it's for peace, and we need to be for peace. Whoever tamper with it is tampering with the law.
Meanwhile, Daniel Lad, the coordinator of the Community Empowerment for Progress organization in Lakes State, condemned the killings and called for calm. He expressed concern over recurring violence in the state linked to disputes involving girls and urged communities to allow the government to handle the case to prevent revenge attacks. Lad also called on the suspect to surrender and appealed for peace, reconciliation and stability within the community. This is iRadio News. The Transitional National Legislative Assembly has announced a two-day public hearing on South Sudan's 2025-2026 National Budget and Finance Bill. The hearing will take place on Thursday and Friday, 12th and 13th February at the Rub Hall of the National Legislative Assembly in Juba, starting at 9:30 a.m. each day. According to the chairperson of the Finance and Economic Planning Committee, Reverend Michael Yuan Johnson, the forum aims to promote transparent and inclusive revenue collection and equitable resource distribution. Discussion will focus on the draft national budget and the finance bill, including government spending plans and proposed tax measures. Government institutions, regional and international partners, civil society, and members of the public are invited to participate. The hearing is part of ongoing public financial management reform supported by the World Bank to strengthen budget preparation and accountability at national and state levels. Finally, before regional and international stories, health officials say only 2 human cases of guinea worm were recorded in 2025, signaling progress in efforts to eradicate the disease in South Sudan. Makoy Samuel, the director of the guinea worm eradication program, shared the update during the ongoing 20th annual meeting of the South Sudan guinea worm eradication program, which opened in Juba on Tuesday. The meeting brings together health officials from the 10 states and 3 administrative areas and is organized by the Ministry of Health in partnership with the Carter Center. According to the 2025 annual report, the country recorded 2 human cases, one in Awarial and another in Ural West, as well as 3 dog infections in Lafon, Torit and Rumbeg North. Director of the Guinea Worm Eradication Program, Mokoi Samuel, says the affected areas are mostly flood-prone and insecure.
In 2025, South Sudan reported 2 human cases of guinea worm disease. The 2 cases, one from Awaria and the other one from Moira West. We also reported 3 dog infections. One in Lafon, one in Torit, and one in Robert North. The program also reported dead animals with the unemerged worms. And this is spread over 8 counties. South Sudan has made progress in terms of reducing human transmission.
The Carter Center reaffirmed its support to the eradication campaign.
As a partner to the South Sudan Guinea Worm Eradication Program, we remain committed to providing access to, at a minimum, guinea worm-free water using things like pipe filters and cloth filters, but also targeting safe water where it can be availed. And of course, part of our responsibility is to help advocate to target their interventions in areas that are at greatest risk for guinea worm. For guinea worm, as I mentioned, water is not a silver bullet solution, as you can still get infected through eating undercooked or poorly cooked aquatic animals.
National Health Minister Sarah Cleto Real pledged continued government commitment.
The Ministry of Health reaffirms its full commitment to guinea worm eradication, guided by our national policy priorities and in partnership with the Carter Center, WHO, UNICEF. We shall continue to strengthen surveillance to ensure prompt detection and containment of cases and animal infections.
Guinea worm eradication efforts in South Sudan began in the 1990s. The country remains among a small number of African nations still reporting cases. And now to the regional and international stories. Here is Lasuba Memo.
Thanks, Wol Mapal. Making headlines on the African soil and elsewhere, Ghana has designated every Wednesday as a day to wear the country's traditional outfit, the Fugu, days after it sparked an online debate with Zambians. The garment gained prominence last week when President John Dramani Mahama wore it during a state visit to Zambia, where some mockingly call it a blouse, prompting a fierce response from Ghanaians online. Ghana's Minister for Tourism, Abla Disfa Gumashe, said on Tuesday that wearing the outfit every week would help project the country's identity with pride on the global stage. She encouraged wearing the outfit in all its diverse forms, designs, and expressions, complemented by its distinctive and beautiful accessories. 9 people have been killed and at least 25 injured in shootings at a school and home in British Columbia, Western Canada. 6 victims were found dead inside a Tumbler Ridge Secondary School, which is around 415 miles north of Vancouver. A 7th died on the way to hospital. 2 more people were found dead in a home nearby. Police believe the shootings are connected but can't say definitely. The suspect's body was found at the school with a self-inflicted injury. Finally, President Donald Trump will host Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House today as tensions continue to rise across the Middle East and negotiations intensify over curbing Iran's nuclear weapons program. Netanyahu is expected to press Trump to pursue a deal that would halt Iran's uranium enrichment and ruin in its support for proxy groups like Hamas and Hezbollah. Iran has said it will not limit uranium enrichment unless Western nations scale back sanctions that have severely strained its economy. Netanyahu's visit on Wednesday marks his 6th trip to the U.S. since Trump's return to office, more than any other world leader. That's all making headlines on the African soil and elsewhere. Back to you, Wol Mapal.
Thank you very much, Lesuba Memo, for the regional and international updates. Up next is Sport Live with Darlington Moses.
Thank you so much, Wol Mapal. This is Sport News from iRadio. In the 16th week of the South Sudan Premier League, Al Malakia Juba escaped a trap from Koryambur, winning 3-2 after taking a 2-0 lead in the first half. With the victory, Al Malakia reaches 31 points, moving up to 5th place, while Koryambur remains within 9th with 17 points. Later this week, Al Marik Bentiu aims to extend the gap with their closest rivals to 5 points when they face Al Salama Will, who are seeking to reach 18 points and climb to 9th place. Currently, the top scorers are Jammu's George Rodriguez with 16 goals, followed by Care Manager with 14 goals. In Premier League, Benjamin Sesko struck in the 96th minute to preserve Michael Carrick's unbeaten start as Manchester United's caretaker head coach and deny West Ham United a crucial win in their battle to avoid relegation. Carrick had won his first 4 games in charge, a run of victories that had been beyond his predecessor Ruben Amorim, but the sequence of wins came to an end on a rain last night in East London. Carrick will be, however, grateful for a point after Thomas Soucek's strike early in the second half put Nuno Espirito Santo's side on course for a 4th win in the 5 league games. Serena Williams will be eligible to return to the tennis from Sunday, 22nd February, but it is unclear if or when the American great will be making a comeback. Williams' name appeared on the International Tennis Integrity Agency reinstatement list on Monday, meaning she can enter tournaments from the date specified, the organization confirmed to BBC Sport. However, the 23 times Grand Slam singles champion has not announced an official return after ending her career at the 2022 US Open. BBC Sport has contacted Williams' agent and the Women's Tennis Association for comment. And finally, Pakistan's fixtures against India at the T20 World Cup is set to go ahead as is scheduled on Sunday after the Pakistan government ended its order for a boycott. The match, the biggest and most lucrative in cricket, which is due to be played in Sri Lanka, has been in doubt since the government in Islamabad advised its team not to take the field against their long-time rivals last week. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif said the decision was made to support Bangladesh, who had a request for matches to be moved out of India rejected. They subsequently pulled out of the tournament, but after a week-long standoff and statement from the International Cricket Council and the Bangladesh board, the Pakistan government directed the team to take the field in a statement released on Monday evening. This is all in the world of sport. I am Darlington Moses, and back to you, Wol Mapal.
Thank you, Darlington Moses, for the sport updates. And here brings us to the end of the news this afternoon. But first, let's have a quick recap once again. The United Nations has cautioned against unilateral amendments of South Sudan's revitalized peace agreements, saying any changes outside an inclusive and consensual process could undermine the country's fragile transition. The interim chairperson of the peace monitoring body, Harb Jemek, has called on the UN Security Council to prevail on South Sudanese peace partners to cease all hostilities and embrace a genuine all-inclusive dialogue. And finally, authorities in Chuaibet County of Lakes State are pursuing a suspect accused of killing 2 brothers following a dispute reported linked to a girl. That is the end of iRadio News. If there is a story and event you would like iRadio to cover or report about, Please don't hesitate to send us a text message on +211 925 287 870. It's also our WhatsApp number. Follow us on X at iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page, iRadio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for news in Arabic at 1/2 past the hour. I am Wol Mapal on behalf of iRadio's news team. Till next